Thanks again for joining us today. Really appreciate having you here.
No problem.
All right. Can you tell me about yourself and what inspired you to found Tsunoda Stylings?
So I actually was born in America, in Ohio, and I came to Japan about 11 years ago. And I came to Japan when I decided to study abroad in university. And at the time, I was studying marketing and communications, and I had a minor in Asian studies. So I wanted to take a foreign language kind of included in that because I was studying Spanish at the time, and I had been studying Spanish since I was in high school. And I love Spanish, but it was not very challenging to me. And it had nothing really to do with my Asian studies major, so I switched to Japanese because I was really into like anime and J-pop at the time. So I thought, what a good way to learn Japanese. And so when we were doing that, my roommate at the time, she was also in my classes, and she said, hey, let's study abroad, let's go to Japan. And I said, why not? And I came here and I never left. And so along the time, I was doing ALT work for a couple of years until I met my husband, who's Japanese. And around 2019 is when we got pregnant with our first son. And I couldn't really work outside of the house because I was high risk during the COVID era. So I was in the house a lot. And I decided to take some online design classes because I'd always been interested in design and web design and social media marketing. And that's how Tsunoda started.
Amazing. Love it. I've got a bunch more questions coming your way. So how has it been kind of like really curious on kind of your journey in starting a business in Japan? So what's kind of like, what's that been like, and what are some of the challenges that you may have faced?
I'm very, very lucky in the fact that my husband is also a business owner. So a lot of the questions or requirements that you need to start a business here in Japan, he already went through. So it was very easy for me, I think, personally, because I had like a guide, a mentor, pretty much. And technically, he was kind of my first sponsor in a way, because when my son was still like before he was 1 year old is when we were registering for the business, because the whole reason I actually started Tsunodastylings was because my mom, she runs a printing service, and she needed a website. So I was like, yeah, she was literally the first website I made. And I was like, yeah, it's just a test thing. We're just seeing how it goes. And then her clients were like, oh, I love your website. Who made it? And she's like, oh, Jasmine did. And through her, I was getting like, recommendations for people to do stuff. And my husband was like, you can make this into like an actual thing instead of just like a hobby. So he helped me register everything, and then I got like my EIN number in America as well, since my first technical clients were in America. I think I do have clients here in Japan, but aside from, I'm not fluent. I mean, I know Japanese well enough to get by because I've been here so long, but I think it's building that rapport with Japanese people to get them to trust you to do stuff for their business. So I find it very, it's common here for people not to have websites that much, especially like newer businesses. They just have like Instagram or Twitter or something. They don't even really have like a website. It's just like,
yeah.
Yeah, so there's also that. So you're like, well, for the most part, yeah, I've been pretty lucky because I have had someone to walk me through everything. I didn't have to do it on my own.
And how was it kind of, you started at one of the toughest times that we faced worldwide. So how was it like kind of starting and getting up and running during COVID as well? And definitely had to probably be some additional challenges that you faced.
Honestly, I feel like for me it was the opposite because, everybody was kind of in the house. And so like they were not being able to do a lot of the things that they normally would have been able to. So it was easy for me in the sense that because doing social media marketing and web design and stuff, a lot of business owners, they outsource it because they don't either have the knowledge to do it or they don't have the time to do it. And during COVID, I guess people were freaking out just trying to stay afloat. So like that was kind of in the back of their mind, like updating their website or updating their social media. Like they were like, I'm just trying to get like the actual stuff done. So like I think for me, it was a blessing that it happened in a way, because I don't think had I been forced to quarantine, I would have stopped my previous job
Mm.
and taken the classes because I wouldn't have had the time to do it.
Mhm.
So in a way, COVID was a good thing for me. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's super interesting. You also kind of touched on it. So I'm curious to hear kind of what's the difference between working with maybe clients that are in Japan versus clients that are in the US, and kind of, yeah, maybe curious to hear about your perspective there and your experience on that end.
So I guess the difference maybe is how much the clients want you to do for them. I feel like I'm more of like a add-on to my Japanese clients. Like they still are very hands-on and want to be involved in a lot of things, where a lot of my American or Western clients, they just give me a list and they say, "Can you get this taken care of?" And they don't even, some of them don't even have like passwords to their social media accounts. Like I just handle everything. Like they don't even know the login to do it. So I think that's a major difference. And we've been lucky to have clients in multiple continents, really, because I have clients in Canada, in America, in Europe, in Australia, obviously here in Japan. And each base is pretty similar in that sense, but I think in Japan the clients are way more hands-on in my
That's awesome.
experience.
Yeah, that's interesting to hear. Now, maybe switching a little bit. So I know you mentioned, so of course, website design. You talked about social media, but kind of what is your offer on your end, and what is it that you work most with your clients?
So I think the service we get inquiries about the most is probably social media management. So they want us to create the graphics for them or create the video content and then set up like a social media calendar in a sense. So scheduling to post like 2 to 3 times a week, and they'll send me like, oh, we're having a sale on this day or this holiday thing, or we're going to be closed, X, Y, and Z. I still do get quite a few website either upgrades or maintenance questions, like if they need support for something. So that's really, really nice. We recently started doing travel arrangement and event planning. So I officially have been partnered with Booking.com and Agoda. So that's fun. Yeah. So we get partnership discounts for people who want to book hotels or tickets
That's
and stuff. Yeah. So
fantastic.
yeah, so we're really branching out. I've also done trademark registration services for some of my clients as well.
Okay.
So it's like, and obviously translation services. So
Love it.
it's been going, yeah. So it's really cool to see how far I've come from just, oh, I'm just gonna make my own website just for funsies, to now I have this full team that we have multiple services that we offer now.
Love it. So of the 5 services, which one's your favorite that you enjoy doing the most?
I mean, I love designing websites. I'm not gonna lie. I love, like, especially when they come to me with already a concept in mind. So say if their logo was already designed, that really takes out a lot of the hard part, because the color scheme and like the typography and everything is already pretty much done. So really all I have to do is just take that logo and make it into a landing page, and then from there build off of it. I mean, sometimes it's fun to make social media graphics, but because you have to post so frequently, you have to come up with new ideas. And even if you like look at the tsunodastylings like Instagram, you could see like sometimes it's like, because I only offer so many services, so there's only so many posts I can make, but I try to make them like different, even though I'm promoting the same service.
Yeah.
But with a website, like, it's a clean slate. Like, you can just express. I think that's my favorite service to do.
Love it.
Yeah.
And so what kind of got you into the travel side as well? You mentioned you've just partnered with Bookings.com and Agoda. So yeah, what got you into that end and kind of transitioning there?
Most of my clients do travel, and then they'll ask me questions like, hey, do you know of X, Y, and Z? Or even when they're coming here to Japan, obviously they'll ask me like, hey, where should we go? Like, what do you recommend? And so I was like, I might as well just do it for you, like book your hotel for you. I'm living in Gunma right now, but I have traveled a lot in the 11 years that I've been here. So I've probably been to about 27 prefectures so far. Yeah, so it's like, I feel like I know it. And I've been in Tokyo more times than I can count. Like,
Mm.
I practically live there. Yeah, because it's just a hop, skip, and a jump on the
Yeah,
Shinkansen at this point. So
exactly.
like,
Gunma ain't too far.
yeah, so like when people ask, like, oh, where should we go in Tokyo? I'm like, well, I'm glad you asked because I've been like a billion times, but And so my husband was like, yeah, you should, get certified or, apply for like the partnership program to see if you can get discounts. And I did, and we did. And so we just recently got Agoda's partnership approval, I
Hey.
think in December. Yeah, so like not even that long ago. So that's been really helpful because I've noticed that booking is more like a Western type of partnership, whereas Agoda really specializes in Asian like partnerships. So that's
100%.
been
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
helpful.
Was it difficult to get both of the partnership like certifications with them?
Not really. I mean, I don't think so, but I think it helped that I was already established as
Mm.
a brand and as like a company. Because they, obviously they'll ask to see like, your website and your social medias and to, I guess, ensure that you're actually like a business. I don't know.
Yeah.
But because we've been in business, like this is going on our 4th year now, so I had a lot to show them. Like,
Nice.
yeah. So that was good.
Right on. That's amazing. Congrats for that. That's huge. All right, so maybe switching a little bit, kind of. I'm curious to hear kind of like how you're acquiring new clients and things like that. So we'll transition a little bit. So yeah, so what's kind of like what's your acquisition strategy? How's it working for getting new clients?
I say the best way that I get clients is actually through client recommendation. So
Okay.
clients will tell other business owners about their experience with us. And I honestly want to say about 80 to 90% of my clients have been recommended from past clients.
Oh, well, all word of mouth then at the moment.
Yeah.
Oh,
And I
amazing.
feel like, especially here in Japan, it is all about who you know and networking.
Mm.
Because, like I said before, like, especially not being Japanese myself, going up to like some random business and be like, hey, let me make your website. They're like, who is this foreign girl? What does she want? So, like, having that, like, I guess, backing or something that people
Nice.
will say, like, yeah, I've worked with her before and her team is great and blah, blah, blah. People are more receptive to, like, at least talking to me and trying, seeing what we offer. But yeah, outside of that, it's just advertisement. Like I'll post advertisements on LinkedIn or Facebook and Instagram. Usually, I get a couple of a couple. It's hard out here because you see ads everywhere on yeah to
Do you
stand
work?
out.
Do you work with the like for as far as your either Instagram or Facebook or LinkedIn? Do you do the paid ads, or you mostly focus on organic kind of outreach or?
I think I do mostly organic. It's very maybe like for our like company anniversary, I'll do paid ads for like the entire month and see how that goes depending on what we want to offer for signing up during that period. It usually helps when you offer a discount, but and then we recently started doing like line
Oh,
promotions
okay.
because we have an official line account as well.
Nice.
So that also helps because everybody uses line. So yeah.
Now, are you happy with kind of how your acquisition is going? Like, you feel like you're getting enough clients versus where you want to be? Yeah. Well,
Okay,
that.
I feel like any business owner will always want more. I, of course, would love to have more clients, of course. I feel like the rate of growth that I'm having now is pretty normal, pretty
Mm,
standard. Would I want more? Yes, obviously. I especially want more Japanese clients. I feel like the bulk of my clients are overseas,
mm,
but it really just boils down to finding the right people, I guess, the right
true.
fit.
Yeah.
Because a lot of my clients are nonprofit organizations and charities. Because yeah, well, the whole reason like I started this outside of helping my mom is that she was creating something so that people could sign up for her St. Jude walk because she does the St. Jude walk every year.
Amazing.
Yeah. And so I was like, I want to help more small businesses. Like, I want to provide services to people who don't have a large budget. So
Mm,
I feel like when you see Tsunodastylings like pricing list compared to other web agency companies, we're fairly cheap. because my main target audience or client base is small businesses and nonprofits.
That's actually gonna you've led to my two of my other questions. I was curious to hear kind of like who is your kind of your target industry right now, and then what your pricing list was. So I guess in that end, you mentioned nonprofits, but are you looking to expand into other industries?
Yeah, I do. I have been currently talking to a couple of influencers, so like helping them manage their marketing and social media and stuff like that. I have maybe 2 or 3 influencers right now that I work with, and it's been going well. I'm not by any means a trained talent manager, but I've learned a lot in this experience with working with them, and they've also taught me a lot about social media just in general. But for the most part, I think I like where I am with my client base, staying within, you know, a small business or nonprofit, like niche kind of area.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if somebody comes along and, you know, they have a Fortune 500, you know, company, I'm not going to say no. but, but, you know.
Fair enough. And I'm curious on that on your pricing end. Yeah, that was actually one. I know you talked about kind of your 5 different services, but what is the pricing look like from that perspective?
I guess it depends on what they're looking for. So, like, say if somebody come to me and they wanted to get like a website design. If they're a nonprofit, we usually just base it off their budget, because most of them have like yearly budgets they have to stay within, like when they get grants or something or other. And if they're given a certain amount, like this is what you can use towards a website or marketing or whatever, I usually just work with them. I have a name your price system. So if they come to me and they say, oh, Jasmine, I want a website, but I only have like Dokuman or something, and I'm like, that's fine, and I'll just take it. But as far as like our monthly, we have monthly services, so like social media management, like obviously is a monthly service, or if something like that. It really also just depends on what they're looking for. So if they want us to just make static posts, or if they want us to make video posts, obviously making video posts take more time. And if they want music involved, you have to make sure like it doesn't get copyrighted and all this other stuff. And then, so, it just depends. Yeah, for the most part, the most expensive package I feel like we have is probably like an e-commerce website package, because it also depends on how many products they have, because they have to go through each individual product and upload it and
super difficult,
track
right?
their inventory and all this other stuff. So depending on how long it takes us to make it and whatnot, but yeah, I would say anywhere from Niman to Nijuman is our price range.
Oh, super reasonable though then.
Yeah.
Yeah, versus like what's on the market today. That's actually really, really reasonable. I didn't like Niman to Nijuman. Yeah.
I had a client come to me in America, and she was like, she was either in California or somewhere, and she was like, yeah, and this guy was like trying to charge me like $10,000 for a website, and I was like, $10,000?
Yeah.
It's like people
like I'm blown away. I thought your prices are honestly like it's a steal. I'm like,
yeah, it is
crazy.
It really is.
I feel like,
yeah,
wow.
And I always tell people like when they ask me that, and I'm like, you know, I started this I wasn't in it for the money when I started it. Like, I genuinely just wanted to help my mom with her charity thing, and then her other charity friends were like, oh, can you make a Instagram for me? Or I don't know how to work this LinkedIn thing. And I was like, yeah, sure. And then my husband was like, you really should charge them, because you're doing like a lot of work. So I started charging. I was like, because he owns his own business. So I'm like, what do you think I should charge? Like, I don't know. And to be fair, like, I could be a stay-at-home wife, because, you know, my husband makes decent money, so like I don't have to work. So for me, it's like I'm not in this to charge to bamboozle people. I just love what I do, and I'm lucky that I've been able to do it and make a little side chump change off of it. And my son's spoiled because we go to Disney every year for his birthday, because I just so happen to have a great business. So and I'm glad that I've been able to give him, you know, something that, you know, I wish I had as a kid, you know. So in the end, it's just I know, and my team tells me this a lot too, like, you really should raise your prices. But
I was gonna say, Jasmine, I like someone told me their prices the other day, and for like social media package, and we're talking like I think I can't remember how many. Like it wasn't a crazy amount of posts per week, but they were it's $3,500 USD, and I was like,
USD!
what? And I was like, I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I was just like, that's insane. And
It's insane.
crazy.
That is crazy. No. And I'm really grateful for the team that I have as well, because most of them are newly fresh, like graduates out of university. So they're hungry, they're ready. They're also just like, I'm just happy to be here and just want something to put on my portfolio. So like, technically they're freelancers, because I obviously don't do like a salary.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm hoping to get there at some point to where.
You know, you mentioned your team. So how big is your team, and how do you like? How is it managing in Japan?
We're about 10 of us. There's 10 of us.
Amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, and we're spread out. The majority of us are here in Japan, but I do have one who's in Dubai, one who's in the Maldives, and one who's in America, I think. Yeah. Yeah. But we usually just get on Slack and chat.
Nice.
Via video and text. Pretty much that's it. They're a funny bunch. They're pretty shy because like we're all just computer nerds. Yeah, it's fun. It's really fun, and they really make up for some things that I lack, which is what I like, because I studied coding, but I'm by no means an artist, so I can't draw worth anything. So I have two actual graphic designers on my team. So if
Love it.
a client's like, yeah, I want a new business logo to redo my branding, I'm just like, I can't. It's not me. I didn't do that.
Awesome. All right, I know I'm having too much fun with this conversation, so I've got the last kind of 3 questions that I wanted to make sure I touch on before we finish. So maybe what's the first question that I have is, and these last 3 are on entrepreneurship. So, what's the first or what's a moment you're most proud of as you built Tsunoda Stylings and as a founder?
I'm most proud of the fact that I don't know. Have you ever heard of Giving Tuesday?
I haven't. No, not yet.
So one of my clients, she's a nonprofit. She works with kids with cerebral palsy, which is like a spinal disease, and she does Giving Tuesday every year. Giving Tuesday is pretty much a global nonprofit organization. It's the Tuesday after Thanksgiving, and you know how like Black Friday is all about buy, buy, buy. Mm-hmm. Well, Giving Tuesday is about giving back. Okay. And so there's about 100 countries that participates in Giving Tuesday, and each country has its own hub. And I had realized that Japan didn't have one. So I reached out to the global team and I was like, yeah, we want to do this here in Japan, but we don't know how to start. And so Tsunodastylings was the first sponsor of Giving Tuesday in Japan. And that was really cool because I told my mom, and I was like, Mom, look how far we've come. Because I remember being 6 and going to these cancer charity walk for kids with my mom, being like, wow, this is so cool. And my mom's helping so many people. And now here I am. Continuing on with, the global give back campaign, or however you want to call it. So that, I think, is the moment where I was like, man, I really I'm doing something. And it all started because I just couldn't get out the house.
That's amazing. That's huge. And so it's every Tuesday after Thanksgiving as well, even in Japan. So that's phenomenal. That's really cool. Okay, on the flip side to that question, what's the biggest lesson you've learned?
I think it's okay to say no sometimes. I feel like, especially being a small business owner and especially being a freelancer, sometimes you just want to take any opportunity that you can. But sometimes you have to take a step back. I also have the issue of delegating. I want to see everything. I want to be in everything. I need to see everything before it gets sent out to the client. And sometimes you gotta let go. And as my son gets older, I'm realizing this more and more. After a certain time in the day, work should stop. Mm-hmm. And I feel like a lot of business owners don't do that. We're always on our phones. We're always on our computers. Always got to get that next sale. But he'll be 5 this year, and I'm just like, where did the time go? I want my goal for this year is to spend more time with him and with my husband and his family, and say no more. Yeah.
That's a great piece of advice. And I realized that my last question was actually for you was going to be what's one piece of advice you would give to someone starting today, building their own company and stuff like that.
Don't be afraid to take risks. For a long time, I was playing it safe, and I was like, well, I don't know how to do this, so I don't think I should offer this service because I personally don't know how to do it. Putting it into somebody else's hands when it's your name and your brand can be really scary.
Mm,
But I'm glad that I did because now Tsunoda Stylings has like a wealth of services that we offer. Where before I just started out as just making websites. And now I can say like, oh, we're a one-stop shop for our clients. Basically, we do your website, we can do your social media, we handle advertising. If you're going on a trip, we can get you discounts or free breakfast at your hotel. Trademark your logo, like just it never stops. So I would say don't be afraid to learn new stuff. Take any opportunity that you can within reason.
love it. Amazing. That was great. All right. And so, hey, that was all my questions. And Jasmine, I just want to say thank you again so much. What a wonderful conversation. And I just really appreciate your time to come in and talk today. Thank you.
I had so much fun.